everybody. This is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina, and I am here with, I think he's my friend, right? We've known each other long enough to be friends now.
You better believe it.
It's my friend Marion Meadows. He is a nationally known saxophonist, and artist, and bike rider. Like, he does everything. How you doing, Marion?
Good, Trina. How are you doing?
I'm good. You never age, Marion.
Oh, please, come on.
It's that bike riding. It's the bike riding.
Okay.
That's why I got me a bike for Christmas. I'm gonna be riding so I can be like you when I grow up. But I just want to thank y'all out there for making the choice to click in the Chat with Trina. And I just want to say Marion has performed all over the place. And what I didn't know is he's performed with Eartha Kitt, Phyllis Hyman, Angela Bofield, Will Downing, and I think Bob Baldwin. Was he at the festival for Martini Blue? I've heard that name before.
Yeah, Bob and I go way back. We kind of came up musically together in the New York area. And so over the years, he and I our friendship has turned into a partnership, and we've composed a lot of songs together, recorded a lot of stuff together. So yeah, he and I go way, way back.
Are you still living in the beautiful Hawaii?
Yeah, my daughter grew up there. I have a place in Maui.
Wow.
Maui. And
I'm sorry.
I split it between Nashville. I'm in Nashville now, but I go back and forth as much as I can. Yeah.
But your daughter is there.
And the most beautiful part about it is the people, And on Maui we have we have a pretty virtually crime-free society. We don't have murders, and we don't have, all that stuff doesn't go on. And,
what about the pandemic?
They did really well because in Hawaii, they have an Asian culture. They're used to just putting on masks even when they have a common cold. So just common sense. They already knew common sense, so you didn't have to teach them common sense. And
so they didn't have a problem with those masks.
No. And then they circumvented around those problems. So, it's
good.
Just lessons learned that I think some people just, some people in this country just don't understand, or otherwise you fight things for the wrong reasons. For the wrong
reasons, exactly.
That's a whole other conversation. But they did
I know,
really
right?
Well. Yeah, they
That's
did.
That's good. So your numbers stayed pretty low.
Yeah.
Is Marion Meadows your actual name, your legal name?
I know people ask me that all the time. It really is. And it was tough being a little kid with the name Marion. My father was responsible for naming me. My mother was not, because he liked the name Marion because he had a baseball player. I think he was a relative of ours whose name was Marion. He played professional ball. And he really liked the name Marion. So I've met some Marion men along the way on my journey, and we always tell Marion stories, because when you were young with the name Marion, it was a little rough.
I'm sure. I am sure.
But later on, it all comes full circle, because later on I became a recording artist, and people go, Marion Meadows, what a cool name. Did you make that up?
Exactly. Were you the one teasing me back then when I was married? Now you see that name is hot.
Right.
So, where did you grow up and attend school?
Well, I was born in West Virginia, in a coal mining town, actually. And my dad and my uncle, we had relatives who were already working in the coal mines, senior relatives who, all seemed to suffer from some sort of, black lung, emphysema. And so my dad and my uncle decided that they had to get out of there, because they knew what was coming later in life, health-wise. So they did. And we, they both went to school and got jobs in New York. My dad's job eventually ended up being in Connecticut, as well as my uncle, but we did, for a short time, live in the Bronx. And then we just moved outside of the city, New York City. So I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. And Stamford, Connecticut was like an express stop on the train from New York City. So pretty much a lot of my musical adventures and real learning came out in New York City, because in New York City, if you really were going to be a musician, they just don't play around, and it's not for the weak, because they already have the best. New York City already has the best of the best of the best. They got the best chefs, they have the best musicians, they have the best of everything. Best Broadway actors. So when you show up in New York City, that's no place to come half-stepping, because they'll tell you to go home.
Is that, well, I read this, and I think I'm quoting you. It said that, where did it go? Okay, I don't, oh, it says, and I've always got my real graduate degree playing in clubs. Would you also say that about living in New York? That that's kind of where you got
Well, yeah, and
the
a lot
tough
of those,
skin?
yeah, some of those clubs were in New York, and
Hmm.
you know, and when I say New York, I mean the surrounding areas of Connecticut, Long
Hmm.
Island, New Jersey,
Hmm.
close to New
Hmm.
York City. It was all the same because
Yeah,
some of the musicians, all of them didn't live in the city, but
right.
it was considered that you were kind of considered a New York musician if that's where you go and play, and you know, and
Gotcha.
so you really would hone your craft later on. I mean, in my case, I went to Berklee School of Music in Boston, and you know, SUNY New York. But when I was done with school, I moved into New York City to, you know, to
Okay.
try to get work. And I'm glad I did, because that was the beginning of, you know, the real
Yeah.
hard knocks of
Hmm.
life for musicians. So
Yeah.
you know, you're going to learn the hard way. Otherwise, you're going to get out of the business. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
both feet in when you're in New York. And so that was a great proving ground for me.
That of people, I say, what do you tell young musicians or young actors when they get in this about hearing the word no, you know?
Well, it's part of your growth. You
Mhm.
always go back to the studying and getting more knowledge. The roles will come if you hang in there, and the
Mhm.
jobs
Mhm.
will come if you're going to be a real musician. The younger people of today tend to. I'm not saying they all, but a lot of them
Mhm.
want to take the shortcuts with
Mhm.
programming and beats and not really learn
Mhm.
an instrument. Well, that's a rude awakening later in life when you realize that a lot of people can do beats, but how many
Right.
people can play an actual violin or saxophone, or and
Yeah.
that takes years of practice and dedication. But you get you know, the caveat to that is that you become a real musician. So, and then once you become a musician, you want to become even better musician.
Right.
It's like graduating from med school. Well, you know, you
Yeah.
might be a brilliant young med student graduate, but 10 years later as a doctor, you're going to be a better doctor.
Right.
So you
With the
don't want to be the
experience.
same when you came out of med school, you don't want to be that same person 10 years
As
later. You want to be a
right.
better version of you. And that's what I always tell young people. You want to be a better version of who you are now, 10
Mhm.
years from now. That means practice and studying. And there's, you can, you know, as well as I do, there's nothing,
Yeah.
you can't learn everything. And there's a lot of
A lot.
information you can get online today, which are very valuable tools for a lot of people.
Hmm. And you never stop learning is what I tell people. Like, you can't stop. Like, if you
No.
know everything, you don't know anything. That's how I see it. So you said Berkeley College of Music, and you majored in arranging and composition, and
Yeah,
then you
you know,
went to
I went in as a
SUNY.
music, yeah, I went in as a music education student, but I
Okay.
wanted to perform. And so I switched over to the more performance oriented program.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I wanted to arrange. A lot of students have aspirations to write for orchestras and arrange, and
Hmm.
so you have to learn all those things. You have to learn all the different clefs and the
Right.
theory, and there's
Yeah.
a lot more that
Yes.
goes along with playing your horn. And then you
Right.
go to class and you do your classes on your saxophone. Then you do big band classes, and then in big band you realize these are the arrangements that you're learning how to write now. You know how to write for a bass clef, and maybe if you're writing for the orchestra, you write for a French horn in F, or
Uh-huh.
violas in A. You know, so those are things that you learn when you're in music school, and they're valuable tools. Now, whether or not you get to write for an orchestra later in life, who knows?
Hmm.
But at least you're ready to do
Right.
it.
You ready if somebody asks? Any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have an older sister and an older brother. I'm the
Okay.
last, and they are. Well, my sister's educator. She was a lifelong educator,
Okay.
and she retired recently from Lemoyne College, and you know she pretty much ran that joint. But you know, she retired only to be working there every day anyway. You know,
Oh,
so she's in Syracuse.
once an educator, always an educator.
Yeah, they can't stop. I told her she's going to be that centurion, 100-year-old lady that you'll see out
Still
driving. I said the only problem is you'll be 100 driving to work.
trying to work, exactly. Not out having a good time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, they're
Yeah, go
awesome
ahead.
brother and sister. You know, and my brother is a head of the Urban League in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, you know, my I kind of named the new record Twice as Nice, believe it or not, kind of after my brother and sister in a way,
Okay.
because I have it so great with such siblings. And
Yeah.
I said, we were on a chat not long ago, and I said, my greatest gift in life is that I have never had an argument with my brother and sister since we've been adults, ever.
Oh my gosh.
Never, ever, never, ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is something that is
Yeah.
definitely something to be proud of.
I'm telling
Wow.
you. Yeah, we have
That's a
never
blessing.
had a fight between us ever in all the
Wow.
years since we were kids. Yeah, but
Right,
as
of
adults,
course.
never.
Yeah.
So I told him you're the best brother and sister that I could ever have. So they
Oh, that's sweet. Are either of them musically inclined?
Actually, I was the only one in my family, except I had cousins who
Uh,
played in the church, and my
okay.
grandfather was also sang in the choir, and he used to have his hymn book, and I said, "Granddaddy, let me," and he put
Yeah.
between his knees, and I go, "How do you sing this?" and all that kind of stuff. So I guess I was tickled by music, and my father had jazz records
Okay.
that he played that I happened to, I guess I liked when I was
You
young.
did. I was just about to
You
say,
know,
did you like it when you were young?
yeah, I was kind of digging his old Coleman Hawkins, and he
Yeah.
had some Ben Webster records, old
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
But I think I kind of liked it. And then once I started playing a clarinet, I
Hmm.
started to emulate some of these jazz guys that my father would be playing, and I
Uh-huh.
realized that I really did have an affinity for improvisation and jazz. But I was being trained as a more of a classical clarinetist. My teacher
Right.
was a concert flautist in the
Okay.
orchestra in Stamford, Connecticut, and he was my teacher. But
And what made you switch from the clarinet to the sax?
well, I wanted to play the sax when I was I started in elementary school. So they hang you out those recorders sometimes. The teacher
Uh-huh.
in class, you be
I remember putting the thumb right here and the
right, you boop, 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 boop.
Mhm.
My teacher said, "Wow, you play that thing pretty good." She sent me to the band teacher.
That is too funny. Well,
She
that
sent
did
me
not happen to me.
she sent me down to the band teacher. He says, "What do you want to play, kid?" And I go, "Saxophone." He go, "Everybody wants to play the saxophone." I said, "What do
Mm.
you got?" He said, "Clarinets." I go, "Oh no, no, no! I'll get beat up." I said, "I'm gonna get beat up carrying that little clarinet." So anyway, I ended up playing the clarinet all the way to high
Uh-huh.
school. But
Yeah.
who knew? But I put a big old peace sign on my clarinet. My mother's like, "Oh hell no!" Moms back in the day, they didn't play.
Right, right,
She said,
right.
Get that off your case." Like
No,
peace,
back then they were gonna make
peace,
sure.
peace and love, brothers.
Right.
I was like in third grade or something.
I just
My
want
mother's like,
y'all to know
my
I'm
mother's
all
like,
right.
"Get
I'm
that
just playing
off."
the clarinet.
I had to make it
That's
look cool. I had to make the case
exactly.
look cool.
That is
So
too funny.
when I got to high school, I got a
Mhm.
saxophone to play a little summertime picnic. And the guy said, "Do you play sax?" And I go, "I could play it. I don't have one." He rented me a sax. The short story is my mom ended up buying it. So the next year when school started, I had it as a rental. My mother bought it. So
Oh,
I went to high school with a sax and clarinet. And boy, they came after me. They wanted me to be the concert,
everything.
the marching band. I had to be in the orchestra and
Wow.
clarinet. So that was it. I lived in the music department when I was in high school, but it was fun.
Yeah. Do any of your teachers, former teachers, come see you or any of those
I
people?
actually, believe it or not, my I'm trying to think, was it my junior high principal? I want to say it was my junior high school principal.
Hmm.
She I played just a few years ago back in Stamford,
Hmm.
Connecticut for the big out in the park, and
Yeah.
she came, and I like, wow. I was
That's
like, I didn't even
crazy.
know you were still alive.
See, I didn't want to say that. I was gonna say, is anyone still
And
around?
she looked great. She was like, I don't know,
Really?
90s or something, but she looked great. So it was really cool,
That
maybe.
is wow. What
But
about classmates and stuff like that?
yeah, I've kept in touch with a lot of my classmates. I've even
Okay.
actually attended a lot of our reunions.
Okay.
Who was in one of our classes? He was for 2 years in our high
Hmm.
school class. Was Mr. Big from Sex and the City, Chris Noth.
Really?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, and he
Oh
actually
wow.
his family moved to California, and he got
Hmm.
into acting, and
Okay.
but he was in our high school in
Oh, fun fact.
yeah.
That was good. You have a gorgeous daughter. Is that your only little baby?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
She is.
Okay. And she's
Um,
still living in Hawaii. What a beautiful place to live.
yeah, she went
Um,
off to college, and then she said, "Well, Dad, I don't know if I'm coming back." And I go, "Yeah, okay, whatever." They always say that. But she went to Colorado. She was at Boulder,
Oh.
CU in Boulder.
Ooh, from Hawaii to the cold. Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah, and she did well there. She had a great time in Colorado, but she eventually came home, and she enjoys. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, my daughter's going to. We're actually leaving in the morning to go to Indiana. She's going to go to Notre Dame for law school in the fall.
Oh,
and I thought cold, snow. So.
Oh yeah, but Notre Dame's a good school. They had a great football team the last couple of years. So
that's yeah. I'm excited. You play the clarinet, you play the saxophone. Anything else did you play?
Well, no, I mean I'm a reed player, but I mean a lot of my friends who are reed players play flute as well.
Okay.
I'm not really a flute player. I can tune on it. But you're not going to see me bring it out and play live on it.
You won't be playing next to Althea, song with Althea.
No, I'm not playing next to Althea. Oh, heck no. No way.
Do you sing?
I think I could, but I haven't really done it yet. So that's why I call on my singing friends,
That's okay.
They'd be like, what are you doing singing? Well, you call me.
I'll sing for you. That's right. You just sit up there and play that horn.
I got like I have like a baritone kind of voice, so I sound like Arthur Prysock or something. Johnny Hartman.
Right, be all deep.
Do-wop, do-do-do-do-do. We had bands in elementary school back
That's what I was thinking. That's why I was like, okay, he must have said middle schools. So elementary school, that was really good.
Yeah, we had a band.
I was speaking to Dominique Hammonds not too long ago, and we were talking about how music. I was asking him why music has been taken out of some of the schools, and he was just saying that when they have a choice of football and band, they're going to put the money into that's crazy.
It's sad because we are not realizing that part of the problems that America are having is that we are forgetting what our culture means to us. How important it is not just to recite our culture, but how much meaning it gives to us as Americans. So our division now is based on some other agendas.
Yeah.
But we have forgotten what's the one common thing that we all share, and that is that we have a very hip culture, including country music, including jazz. The slave contributions, the blues notes, the blues in itself, the Celtic, the Irish who came over and brought, the early predecessors to the bluegrass and all that, and all these things that were invented and created right here in America, and our children know very little about it, if nothing at all. Because when we were young, we knew the names Picasso and Beethoven, Duke Ellington. Not only did you know those names, but you even knew some of that music. Our generation grew up with so much information, and I say it all the time. We all have PhDs because if you think about the load and in our memory banks of all the music we grew up with.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday and then Aretha Franklin and now you're talking about Ohio Players and Grover Washington and the Beatles and Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Nancy Wilson. So it goes on and on and on for us. It's mind-boggling how much we have in our heads. And how many of those people we actually saw live as well. That always has been an umbilical cord for us to our culture. Because we can go back and say we knew what King Curtis did or Junior Walker and the All-Stars and the contributions of Little Richard or Chuck Berry as they were developing along with Louis Armstrong. And I go back and I have my jazz series and we talk about, Joe Oliver, who was the reason that there was a Louis Armstrong. And then we talk about Freddie Cuthbert and the early musicians who were getting their signals from the slaves who used to gather in New Orleans at Congo Square. And they started singing these hymns and the musicians started playing those cadences and those, and so that theory changed the whole music book had to change. There was no such thing as the blues in classical music. That minor third, that blues note, it didn't exist in classical music. And if it did, they had rules where you don't cross the parallel fifths in classical music, And so all of that changed due to what happened in America. And I go overseas and I'll have kids come up to me in Japan or China or somewhere and go, they know more about our culture.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
So,
You
that
know
was our
what was
swagger.
I had I don't know if you know, oh gosh, what is her name? Anika Chambers. She's a blues singer.
Uh-huh.
And I had her speak to my kids not too long ago. We're doing everything virtual. So I said, let me try. And so she said, well, I want to sing a song. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, these kids are not going to enjoy that. But I was like, okay, let's just see what happens.
Uh-huh.
Marion, they were very interested. They were interested in her. They loved the music. I mean, when I saw the chat of everything that they were saying, it was amazing.
Well, because we're taking for granted that they don't like this.
Right.
And nobody's showing them, they're not going to like everything.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get hooked on the idea that there's a path to being able to play a saxophone or sing, as opposed to, just trying to do it all through online or Instagram or YouTube or something, that there's a process that goes along with it. And then we can help you connect the dots back to your past.
Exactly.
So you understand what it means to have all that in your, what that soul and spirit that you have within you. Yeah, where it comes from. And if we did that, if we just started doing that every day for American citizens, where we talk about our culture. These are the important parts of our culture, and they can include, migration. But see, every time when people migrated from the South up to Detroit for the car industry, they took the music with them as well. There was music created in Detroit. There was music created in Chicago. There was art created all over the country due to migration. And all of these things are so important, but we've lost the ability to even recite that anymore. So therefore, there's this big void, and we can't figure out what it is that would make us be proud to be Americans. Sometimes people in recent times with all the turmoil that goes around, well, I can't be proud of Americans, because this and that, but no, that's not true. Because yes, you can. Look at all the sacrifices that were made on your behalf so that you could even be here, and it's not just our, it's just not black people for black people or white people for white people. It's just what we all have done. And that's how we're able to be civil with one another, because we have a swagger that people are attracted to. That's the reason people want to come to America. They don't always want to come here just to be free. They want to come because they want to come to America. They dig our style.
It's a cool place to be.
Yeah, it was hip, and now it's like we I don't know what happened, So we need to slow down, just talk about what's important to us, and what we always tend to go to is we will go to the music no matter what happens.
No matter what.
During the pandemic, I don't care who you were, black, white, Asian, man, woman, child, you had headphones on.
Yes.
You were listening to some music, and it didn't matter. And when we do a show, or we as musicians, we have never, anybody walking through the door in our community, we don't care what you were. We've never cared what you were. When I walked in the door, they didn't care if I was black or I had dreadlocks, if I was man, woman. And then in one of my shows, a woman who was in the old swing bands back in the day, she was a musician who was part of the documentary. She says, listen, when you close the curtain and you hear the musician behind the curtain, you don't know what they are. You don't know if they're gay, straight, man, woman, you don't know. So did it ever really matter? And it's never mattered to us. That's why we always say as musicians, you can tell us that it's hard, that life is hard, that society has all these problems. It really doesn't. It's just this problems you create because we have been living it our whole lives. I told my mom before she passed away, I said, Mom, I'm so glad I chose to be a musician because I've lived on the best side of humanity my whole life. My friends come from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
We all treat each other the same way. We hug each other. We play music together. We create together. Really kind of simple. It's really not that hard.
Yeah. And music is something, to me, it brings so many people together. I mean, think about festivals and at festivals, I mean, I'm sure there's some crazies, but for the most part, people are just having a good time when they go out to these big festivals outside,
They're having a good time. They really, that's the reason they go to the festival. That's the name, festival. It's festive. And they do have a good time. I just played the Seabreeze Jazz Festival. It was wonderful to actually see people back together.
Again, yeah.
See all my musician friends, Kurt Whalen. I saw everybody.
I bet that was really. I saw you posted some pictures.
Yeah, all the
everybody
guys.
looked so happy.
We were really happy.
I know. Not just a regular happy, huh?
Yeah, no, not just regular happy. Very happy.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. We were all so elated to see one another, and it was truly a moment of blessings and spirits, and to be with our friends and colleagues. So and the fans, obviously,
definitely,
because they were really having all the fun. So
live music has definitely been missed, and I'm just excited about it coming back. I'm really, really excited. With this downtime, what have you been working on? I know you do art.
I did a new album.
During
the downtime, and I worked on a lot of records for other people. I recorded on Bobby Lyle's new album. Willie Bradford, Jazz and Pink, Mark Antoine. I did a whole lot of records for people. I recorded a lot of records during the break, and I built a new studio here in Nashville. So I kept pretty busy.
Okay. And, did you have any epiphanies or any aha moments during this time, or?
No, just like what I was saying, it always reminds me that how much people do miss the art in their life, and that's why we come full circle back to what we were talking about before.
Right.
But when you take that away from children early in their lives, when you take the art and creativity away, and they have to go in search of that, then they'll find a lot of other stuff,
other things.
They'll find other distractions, and they can be, in the case of adolescence, it could be, drugs, sex, whatever.
Right.
I'm just saying they'll find other diversions. Whereas if you had something that gives you the opportunity to tap into something creative earlier in life, you might have, it doesn't necessarily
that's
going to be your career. But it gives you that sense that there are some beautiful fantasies out there that you can create visually, like you say, dancing. And when people are dancing and acting and creating and doing music together, that fluid movement and that sharing is so important, especially for children at a young age. It should not be taking art and music out of the schools. It's a terrible thing to do.
It's sad.
It's causing problems. It's causing a lot of problems.
Enjoy about it's very sad. Performing live.
I just like that whole interaction. That was the whole, from the first day that I actually got a chance to go out and play, on a stage. I don't know when that was, but back when I was with my little junior high school band, I enjoyed performing. I really enjoyed the fact that I would be performing and the people would really be digging that,
Yeah.
And then eventually that morphed into something that became very spiritual, and people truly, I've gotten everything from, we made babies on your music to a guy who said he was on death row.
Yeah.
He listened to my music on death, but he got, he was exonerated when they did a DNA test and found out that he wasn't he was getting ready to get put to death. Yeah. So he told me it was my music that saved him from committing suicide, he told me.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, dude, that's way too heavy for that. It's like, whoa. Woo. Yeah. But
it probably blew your mind totally.
Oh my God. And that is from, those experiences alone and that interaction has made it all worthwhile. So when we step out, and this recently I stepped out on stage with Norman Brown again, my good friend, and it was magical. We had rehearsed for it, and we were, getting excited to the moment we would go on stage. Jeffrey Osborne was right in front of us. He was tearing it up, and we had a door we could see Jeffrey playing. So as soon as he was done, we were gonna go out. So it's just exciting.
Yeah, just fun, almost like a fraternity or sorority kind of thing to see each other again. Now, one of your other talents, I'll move on just for a little bit, is your art. I have seen some of your art, and gosh, when did that happen? Like as an adult, or was it when you were young as well?
Well, I always did. When I was younger, I was a painter, but just dabbling in it. And then when the music took over, I kind of put that away. I don't even know when I even came back, but it kind of creeped in because later on, I started. I needed to do websites because now you're a musician. You need a website. Back in the day, they They didn't have Wix.
Yeah.
You had to go to a web company to get a
Yes.
website, and they were expensive. So every time you wanted to change your date, so I'm playing next week, and you go,
you have to pay.
They go, that's $200. I was like, oh hell no. I said, how about $50? Can you change it? And I'll give you like 8 dates. And they go like, nah.
That's right.
So I got to learn how to do that. So I went and learned how to do HTML and build a, website.
I saw that you do graphic design. And
that's how I ended up doing learning Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. So once I learned that, I started applying my love for photography, mixing them together. Then I found myself starting to paint again. They all kind of came together.
Just kind of fused together.
They did. Oh
wow!
So now I have this, a collage of different things that I do that are not one set medium, but they kind of move around a little bit. But if you go to my atmospheres, it's just Marion Meadows Atmospheres, plural with an S, or MarionMeadows.com and hit on artwork, and you can see my works there. I
did make you a co-host. Can you share anything? Did you try?
Well, I can show you some pieces that were recently. Let me see what I have here. I can go to the share the screen. Let me see what I can pull up here. Okay. And you're gonna let me share the screen. All right. Cool. This. I'm going to show you some works. Oh, this is
that's a pretty picture.
Oh, yeah. Exhibit I have at an office it's in New York City. And this is a series that I did of I call it trees and birds, and over here is a piece called Cosmic. Okay. So that's one of, and so this is one of the series that I did, and
that's beautiful.
And then
the colors.
And then I have this is some of the stuff that was recently in the gallery. This is a Kula Girl, and this was a piece that was recently bought by the Muhammad Ali family.
Okay. And I was going to ask, do you sell your work?
Oh, yeah.
I know that's a crazy question, but.
Yeah. So this.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So
that like reminds me of, I don't know, it makes me feel like a little girl, like nostalgic kind of,
Yeah. So it's a cute little fantasy. And
Alice in Wonderland. That's what I think of. That's how I feel. Okay.
Yeah. Hot air balloon taking pictures of her, and there's a rainbow, and we do get a lot of rainbows in Maui. So that is the truth.
Oh, really?
Almost every day we get rainbows.
Wow.
And a little squirrel. There's your squirrel.
That's what I say, the squirrel.
And then I have a thing called Swinging Girl, and Swinging Girl is a series, and she's Swinging Girl and the Little Dog. And actually, Najee owns this piece right here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is really pretty.
And that's Swinging Girl and the Little Dog and the Swinging Girl. And she's got swinging in red.
And she's swinging from the saxophone. I was swinging. This is some nice work. I have to go. And so MarionMeadows.com, and I did see up there, it said, I think it said artwork or art, something like that.
That'll take you there, and you can go directly to Marion Meadows Atmospheres.
That is really pretty. Biking. What's the longest you've rode?
Oh, let's see. I think the longest we did nonstop was about 136 miles. Yeah. Ooh. And race-wise, the longest race I did was 118 miles. Was the longest race I've ever.
See, that's why you're not aging, Marion.
I'm aging.
You're not aging.
Wrinkles.
You out here riding bikes and stuff, 100 miles and stuff, and racing on bikes. We have these little social bike things I'm doing. That's about it.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, I'm retired from racing, but I'll get out and do like a club race.
Okay.
with my team. But when I did, it was fun. You know, you have to train
Yeah.
to do active racing on a racing team. And in my cases, I did more masters racing. So that's riders
Okay.
35 and older, but they're
Yeah.
still fast. I mean, we had Olympic
Yeah.
guys. You
Yeah.
know, we had some serious riders. I mean, these are guys that still ride close to 30 miles an hour. So they're not old by any
They
means.
not playing.
They're not playing.
Jeez.
Like
Jeez.
typically a race, we used to do a race in Arizona called the Tour de Mesa, and then it became the Tour de Phoenix. And I believe that race was 77 miles. It would be done in about 2 hours and 40 minutes. It was 77
Yeah.
miles. That's how fast they were going through the mountains too. I mean, it was
Really?
so about
Wow.
245, 250. It was over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, they're flying.
What do you do to relax and chill, Marion?
Not much. No. No. I mean, you know, I'm an outdoor. I love outdoors. I like
Yeah.
being out with the camera. You know, going. I do a
Yeah.
lot of bird photography lately, so I'll go and there's Zen every. You know, you can find Zen in lots of
Yeah.
places.
Right.
So recently, I've just been trying to, not get too involved in, trying to get people. I don't want to get too involved in the politics. You know what I mean? So you almost can't help it because but I'm trying to get people to go the other way. Let's
Yeah.
those things are happening for a reason, and then
Mhm.
there's a reason that there's a lot of things we need to fix. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Black community ourselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we need to fix, which I'm more in favor of doing that as opposed to
All
saying
that other stuff.
all that other stuff. But yeah, I like to see us all kind of keep our attention moving forward.
Yeah.
What are we going to do as a society to move forward, keep our humanity moving forward? It's easy for us to get stuck in the finger pointing and do things need to be fixed? Absolutely. But how do you also fix our own particular problems? Don't let up on the gas for our kids with education.
Yeah.
What's going to be happening for the future? And that goes for it goes for all of us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those things don't change because as you get older, you realize that one of the things I did to prepare myself for where I want to be, and if I wanted to get a certain kind of job or be at a certain space or a certain place, what have I done? And in your case, you're still doing it. You're still getting master's degrees and stuff, and you will agree. Is that for everybody? No, but it's certainly a way to get to places where you need to go. And so, do all children need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in college education? No, not necessarily.
Right.
But if you already kind of know what it is that you want to do, you need to stay on that path and get away from all the other distractions, because that's what happens in life. Unfortunately, the kids today they can't afford all the distractions. We had a lot of distractions, but we circumvented around a lot. Unfortunately, they're not going to have that luxury because the jobs they're trying to get are going to be gone. It's like a booming housing market. You try to go buy a house, and then you realize that's already gone. That's happening right now in the job market for today's kids, and it's more serious for them now to have an idea on
what they want to do.
Right, exactly. Perfect example is if you were going to go out and get a student loan, or let's say you even had the money, your parents had the money to invest, and you decided, well, this is a certain courses I could do online. These are things I can do at the community college. This is how much money I would save. So if you save $25,000, $30,000 and you were young, I would advise you to still get the education, take that money you were going to use and invest it. My daughter invested in the market 9 months ago when the pandemic was shutting down everything. She bought airline stocks and she bought cryptocurrencies and stuff. And my daughter's 26 years old. She made $96,000 in 9 months by investing. Wow. And she bought a Bitcoin at 3,000. It's almost 60,000 now. She just, I mean, not everybody's going to invest, day trade kind of high risk stock, but I'm just saying you can take that money and turn it into money and be thinking about your future. Even if 10 years from now you took that $30,000, you would be setting yourself up for the future. It's kind of like, Jewish people when they do the bar mitzvahs to their sons, when they're 13 years old, when they graduate high school, bar mitzvah is just about giving money to your child, setting them up for the future. So at 13, you get checks from all your friends and family. They put the money in the bank, and when you graduate high school at 18, you already have money in the bank. If they just got rid of all the college loans, wiped them out. I mean, we're kind of living on paper anyway. You would bring the middle class back, because all those kids now, and even the millennials who owe all that money, would immediately infuse a new middle class, because now they have money to buy a house. That loan payment is killing them, and then just to have an apartment now, of which most kids today or young millennials have to have a roommate because the apartments are so expensive. Then you got to live, and living today is crazy. And eat. It is. It's nuts.
Yeah, but don't forget eat.
It's thousands. It's literally thousands of dollars a month, no matter who you are. No matter how broke you are, no matter what class, it's thousands of dollars a month to survive in the United States nowadays, and that's the way it's set up to be. They don't give us free health care. They don't give us, it's just everything is set up to take money from you. And when you just least expect it, somebody else comes around and says you got some kind of insurance, or your car payment, and your car broke. The electric bill, for some reason, the thing broke, something. And it never stops.
It never stops. For musicians, I talk a lot about pricing and cost. Like, do you, when it comes to your craft, you've been doing this, you're a professional, so you have to charge a certain amount. But do you understand the club owners or the venue owners needing to make a profit as well when it comes to that?
Or we will always want the promoter to win. We call club owners mom and pop promoters, and we certainly don't ever want to come and play at a venue and then they had a bad night. I mean, if they had a bad night because they just weren't prepared to do the show, we feel bad no matter what happens. Yeah. As all musicians will tell you this, that we need the mom and pop promoters, those club people, but that's where we grew up playing. So we want to do everything we can to help them. That's why the social media thing is important to them, that the artists get involved, help promote the shows and so forth. But we don't we certainly, in negotiating, we know that there's a profit margin by which they have to go by. Okay. And some artists aren't going to play at a certain venue because they can't afford them. These certain artists won't play at certain places. I don't really find that to be the case for me. I will play at most venues, and especially with club owners that I've known for years, and it's not always about the paycheck. It's about the experience and the people who live in that area and go to those venues who are fans of mine. And let's face it, you'd be nothing without your fans. And so you want to make yourself accessible to, to the places that they go to, the clubs that they frequent and, patronize. But it's important. But it's a good thing you asked that question, because people often wonder, those, they come in and take the money and run. No, we really don't ever want to do that. We hate to see a club lose money, or even a promoter who puts a show on, all of a sudden there's some act of God. And in many cases, they'll come back and do it again. They'll pay the expenses that it costs to do that. And a lot of us will just say, no, we're gonna fix that and
fix that up,
make it right. Yeah.
Did anything move up in priority on your bucket list during this time? You do everything. Your bucket list is already done.
Well, not done. It's not done, but I got some other ones.
You got some things on the bucket list still?
Yeah, I mean, right now, in the next couple of years or whatever I'm going to be doing now, I want to travel, take my camera and go all over the world. I want to go to Iceland, and I want to go to Norway, and I want to go to
those are some beautiful places.
Yeah, and I want to do some photography and stuff. So that's on my bucket list. And not that I don't get to travel. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get to travel.
But you're usually working.
I'm usually working. That's right. Now I just want to take off and maybe, have a partner. We'll go hanging out and shooting some pictures and meeting new people. Traveling is I always encourage traveling to everyone. As soon as things start to open up again, I encourage you to
Definitely.
travel, because this is how you really get a sense of what's really going on in the world. And there are beautiful people everywhere, all over the planet, no matter where
Yeah.
you go. It's really awesome to travel around this planet.
Is Hawaii pretty diverse?
Yeah, I mean, especially Honolulu, because Honolulu has a military, has for many
Okay.
years. So
Okay.
they're really diverse. Maui
Mhm.
is pretty much as well. And
Okay.
Maui is a little more quiet. Kauai even more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Other out islands, Lanai, they're really Lanai was the place that used to have all the pineapples, and the pineapple industry
Mm.
has now
Mm-hmm.
gone to Philippines. So the Dole
Oh.
Pineapple Company, which was pretty much the whole island of Lanai, is gone now, and they're in the Philippines. So that's
Okay.
that's more it's a more of a barren, not that it's barren,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that the pineapple fields aren't there anymore.
It's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But on Maui, we have, of course, we have a great tourism trade. But up where I am,
Mm-hmm.
I live up on the Haleakala up high, called Up Country. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really kind of set apart from all of the other stuff on the island.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know about it. It's old
Okay. Okay.
farm country up there, and they still farm up there, and we still
Uh-huh.
have cattle up there, and it's way up
Wow.
4, 5, 6, 7,000 feet up on
Uh-huh.
the Haleakala
Ooh.
volcano, which is not an active volcano. But I keep my bike by the door just in case.
So you can be ready to go.
I hear boom, I'm down.
Well, look, that's the one
Lava ain't
thing you
gonna
can do.
get
You can
me.
outride everybody.
Ain't no lava getting me. Like lava trying to get the tires.
You can I can outrun them, but you can outride them.
But that's why nobody's
Hmm.
breaking in your house up where we are. If they break in your house, there's only a couple roads they can go down. We get you before you. They don't even lock our doors where we live.
Oh, how nice.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
my neighbor called me up and said, "Can you go over to my house and get so and so?" Yeah, I mean, really seriously.
That's
Yeah.
great. What advice would you give a young musician that lets you know he wants to become a musician? What is the one most important piece of advice you would give him?
Okay, so if you already are playing an instrument and you're
Mhm.
serious about being a musician, I think you're going to already know what it takes, because that's going to be dedication and the practicing and how
Mhm.
much you want to put into it. The rest will come, but the one thing you can never ever replace is your integrity.
Mm.
And when you become a professional musician, if you're lucky to become a professional musician, showing up on time and being, an upstanding citizen in the music community is of the utmost importance. Showing up, being there, and being dependable, and having the right attitude will get you far as an
And
artist.
the one that's in Montego Bay in June, you're gonna have our friend, our homegirl, Miss Althea, is gonna be on that stage. It's gonna be nice with that flute. So it's gonna be 4 or 5 of y'all.
Yeah, there's a few of us. I think Althea's bringing. Maybe Jasmine is playing too. Jasmine.
Oh, I want to see them
Yeah.
play together so bad.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
see
they're
that.
great. They're great.
Hmm.
And
Um,
Althea's been my girl for years. We've been
yeah,
hanging.
she's awesome. Her and Luther
So
both
good.
are awesome.
Yeah.
Where can we get your music?
Yeah, all the local outlets, your Amazon, iTunes,
Spotify.
Spotify, and all that stuff. And of course, just come on over to marionmeadows.com. I have
Mhm.
autographed CDs of the new album that just came out.
Oh,
So the new album is out now for, I guess, it's about 3 weeks now, and it's available if you want an autographed copy, and I do sign them. So,
what's it called again? I'm sorry.
and they go, "What is it? An album? Or what is it called?" It's like a CD. What do you
No,
sign? Just a piece of paper? Because my daughter said, "Why do y'all even like? Why do y'all even use those things? And what do you do with them?" I said, "Our generation, we want to hold something. We used to have our big album."
Marion, I still have to print out stuff. They want you to read everything on the computer. I gotta print it out. I want to touch mine.
We used to have albums this big, opened up.
Yeah.
Then they shrunk down to the little. No. Then we had the CD box. I mean,
CD
cassette box. And then there was a CD box. And
the 8-track, then the cassette.
8-track. They don't know what that is.
Not at all. Mine always tell me what century. Reminds me what century we're in and why we should be using all these electronic devices.
Well, we grew up on analog now. That's a whole different story from people don't understand. They think that the digital is just a cleaner version of analog. It's not even the same animal. We grew up on records, analog records. That's where you got that chill in your spine in our day. You can't get that with digital. Sorry.
Not anyone else. It's totally different. It is totally different.
Digital don't have that.
You have anything else you want to leave for us, Mr. Marion?
No, it's been a pleasure being your friend. I'm glad we got the opportunity to come on your show, and good luck with everything. I'm enjoying what you're doing.
I really appreciate you doing that. Yeah.
But I think these conversations are important. So I'm very honored to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing all you guys, all my Texas peeps.
Yes, we got to get you to Houston soon. Soon.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to Chat with Trina, and make sure you go to youtube.com/Chat with Trina. Subscribe, y'all. I'm trying to get some numbers. Subscribe. And then hit the little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you so much. 3.
Hi, this is Marion Meadows reminding you to subscribe with Chat with Trina and stay up with what she's doing. Good stuff.
Marion, I want to thank you again for all of your support and agreeing to chat with Trina tonight. It was such a great conversation. I thought we were going to just talk about music and art, but man, it was so much more. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me tonight. Guys, make sure you go to www.marionmeadows.com so you can check out all of this beautiful artwork he has. And be sure to subscribe to youtube.com/Chat with Trina. Hit that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.